Welcome back, guys. Patrick here. Moving on to the next question on the test. We've got to determine the equation of the parabola with x-intercepts 4 plus or minus root 13, and that passes through the point 2 and negative 9. Right? So when we're determining the equation of a parabola and they give us the x-intercepts, right, we know we're going to be dealing with factored form. Right? The r and the s being the x-intercepts. However, this one's a little bit more difficult because these x-intercepts, they're given in sort of a weird format, 4 plus or minus root 13. And we did questions like this in the lecture videos. And there's a good chance that this might come up on your test. So make sure you're comfortable working with x-intercepts in this format. Sometimes they'll just be a radical. So you could have got x-intercepts of plus or minus root 13, but a lot of times they'll have this constant in front. And dealing with this is a lot tougher than dealing with that, right? We dealt with both in the lecture videos, but thought I would put the toughest one on the tests. And then if the x-intercepts are just given as numbers, then that should be pretty simple. You should be pretty comfortable doing those at this point. So if you remember, what is the process to do this? So we're going to have to solve for this a value eventually, but let's plug in the x-intercepts first. So we'll have x minus, one of the x-intercepts is 4 plus root 13, like that. And then x minus, the other x-intercept is 4 minus root 13. Remember, you're always putting these in brackets. So from here, what you can do is you could distribute the negative in each bracket. So x minus 4 minus root 13. And then this would be x minus 4 plus root 13. And at this point, what you want to do before solving for this a value is you want to get rid of these radicals. And if you remember in the lecture videos, I told you there's two ways to do it. You can FOIL everything out, right? So you're going to end up with 9 terms because this is a 3 by 3. So x times negative 4, x times root 13, negative 4 times x, negative 4 times negative 4, negative 4 times root 13, etc., etc. But another way you can do it is you could recognize this is a difference of squares. So you have a term here, x minus 4. So this is like, if you remember difference of squares, m squared minus n squared is equal to m minus n, m plus n. So this is like m minus n, m plus n. So the m value is this whole x minus 4, and then the n value is root 13. So when you're multiplying a difference of squares, you just have to multiply the n terms by each other. So m times m is m squared, and then negative n times n is negative n squared. So same thing here. We just have to multiply the x minus 4 times x minus 4, which is x minus 4 squared. Then the negative root 13 times the positive root 13, that just gives us negative 13. All right? So that's a lot easier to do it this way versus foiling out. But if you're more comfortable foiling it out fully, just really be careful with your algebra. And after you simplify all the like terms after foiling, the radicals should cancel out. You should be left with no square roots. Right? So if you are left with a square root after foiling out, then you did something wrong. There was an algebra mistake somewhere. But if you get x-intercepts like this and you get a point like that, this process is always going to be the same. So you could always rely on this process as long as the questions are given in this format. Okay, so from here, you can just simplify this. So x minus 4 times x minus 4 is x squared minus 8x plus 16. This is minus 13. And we still have a y here. So bringing this up here, we'll have y equals a x squared minus 8x. And then 16 minus 13, that gives us positive 3. Like that. right? So notice we took this, converted it into that. There are no radicals left. There's no square roots left. So now, a lot easier to solve for the a value. We just take our point now, plug in -9 for y, plug in 2 for x, so 2 squared minus 8 times 2, plus 3, what's that going to give us? 2 squared is 4, plus 3 is 7, 7 minus 16, that actually gives us -9, right? 7 minus 16 is -9. And this is nice because both sides divide by -9, so the a value is just 1. So really, the answer is just that quadratic, because the a value is 1. So we don't even have to write that a value. That's the answer right there. Right? If the a value was something else, right, let's say it was 2, then we'd have to distribute that 2 inside the bracket. But it's not 2, it's just 1. Which is really nice. That's rarely going to happen, by the way. But, yeah, y equals x squared minus 8x plus 3. That's your final answer right there. Right? So just be careful with these x-intercepts given in this format. You may have to go back and maybe review the lecture video and go into more depth about how to get from here to there. Right? And I discussed the two methods, the longer method and the shorter method. In this video, we did the shorter method, but either method's going to give you the right answer. Just with the longer method, be really careful with your algebra. Be really careful when you're foiling out, when you get those 9 terms.